Tobi sat frozen in the empty lecture theater as the lights clicked off, Chinelo's gentle rejection still ringing in his ears. Things are hard for you right now. I don't think it would work. Tears burned behind his eyes while the Lagos night pressed against the windows. Hello guys, welcome to my channel where interesting stories of resilience, comeback, and real love are told. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 weeks earlier, everything had shattered. His father, Mr. Adebayo, had collapsed at his modest accounting desk in Abeokuta. Heart attack. Sudden. Final. The hospital in Ogun State did what it could, but the bills piled up faster than condolences. The small family house in their quiet village compound turned into a place of hushed grief. Relatives came, prayed, pressed folded naira notes into his mother's trembling hands, then left. The salary stopped. The provision store his mother ran from the front veranda barely fed them. University fees became an impossible mountain. Tobi returned to UNILAG for second year with one suitcase, a heart full of grief and determination carved from loss. He found a shared room in Abul Ojo, just beyond the campus gates. 4 guys squeezed into peeling walls, thin foam mattresses on the floor, a single fan that mostly moved hot air around. Rent came from selling his father's old wristwatch and a few textbooks he could survive without. Every morning he woke before the call to prayer echoed across the lagoon, slipped out quietly, and walked the long stretch to the Faculty of Business Administration. The campus still gleamed in morning light, palm fronds rustling, waterbirds skimming the lagoon, students jogging in branded tracksuits, but Tobi moved through it like a shadow. Lectures on principles of management and business statistics filled his notebook while his stomach reminded him of yesterday's half-loaf. Breakfast was often just water from the tap near the faculty block. Lunch, when it happened, was ajit bread with margarine begged on credit from Mama Ngozi at the small provision store by the gate. Dinner meant gari and groundnut powder, eaten cold in the shared room while roommates argued over football scores on a crackling radio. Debt followed him like dust. Photocopy fees for past questions. Departmental association dues he couldn't pay. Transport when he missed the last campus shuttle. He borrowed small sums, 5,000 here, 3,000 there, promising next month with a smile that felt like lying. Pride stopped him from confessing how deep the hole had become. Instead he walked everywhere, from Abul Ojo past the noisy New Hall Junction, across the open field near the lagoon where couples sat whispering, all the way to the lecture theaters, saving every naira for survival. Chinelo changed everything without meaning to. She was in his 200-level entrepreneurship class, tall, articulate, always surrounded by friends who smelled of expensive perfume and spoke of weekend trips to Lekki. She dominated discussions with sharp insights on startups in Nigeria's informal sector. Tobi admired her from 2 rows back, the way she gestured when making a point, the easy confidence poverty hadn't yet taught him. After a group presentation one humid afternoon, the theater emptied. She stayed to fix a jammed projector slide. He found the courage in the silence. Chinelo, he began, palms damp, I've been wanting to say this for a while. I like you. A lot. Maybe we could hang out sometime. Outside class. She turned slowly. Surprise, then something gentler, almost regret. Her eyes took him in, the polo shirt faded from too many washes, the sandals with thinning soles, the backpack patched at the seams. She offered a small, careful smile. Tobi, you're really nice. And smart. But right now, things are tough for you. I don't think it would work. I'm sorry. No malice. Just honesty that cut deeper than cruelty ever could. She touched his arm briefly, kindness in the gesture, then walked out, braids swaying. The door clicked shut. The automatic lights dimmed. Tobi stood alone in the half-dark until his legs remembered how to move. He walked the long way home that evening, past students heading to departmental socials, past hawkers shouting, "Cold pure water," under streetlights. Tears came somewhere near the lagoon bridge, silent, unstoppable. He wiped them with his sleeve and kept walking. Back in the shared room, he lay on his mattress while roommates snored and the fan rattled. Mosquitoes whined. He thought of his father's last phone call. "Tobi, education is the only thing no one can take from you. Climb, my son. Climb." The memory anchored him. Pain didn't break him that night. It sharpened him. If the world only saw empty pockets, he would force it to see excellence instead. Before dawn he rose again, backpack ready, and headed back to campus while Lagos still slept. Front row seat. Notes flying. Questions sharper. Library till closing. The hunger stayed. The death lingered. Chinelo's words echoed like a bruise that wouldn't fade. But every step across that sprawling Akoka campus became defiance. The boy who once dreamed of love now dreamed only of rising, because rising was the only way to rewrite the story. Tobi woke before dawn most days in the cramped off-campus room he shared with 3 other students in Abulojo, just beyond the UNILAG gates. The single fan rattled uselessly against the Lagos humidity, and power cuts left them sweating through the night. He slipped out quietly, backpack slung over one shoulder, heading across the lagoon-fringed campus where the air carried the faint salt of water and the distant hum of downfall buses on the 3rd mainland bridge. By 6 a.m., he was already in the Faculty of Business Administration block, claiming a spot in the quiet reading room before the crowds arrived. Lectures started at 8, but Tobi preferred the early hours when the campus still felt peaceful, palm trees swaying gently, the lagoon shimmering under first light, students jogging along the paths or murmuring prayers near the mosque and chapel. He balanced his notebooks on his lap, revising yesterday's notes on organizational behavior while his stomach growled from the previous night's meal of gari and groundnut he could barely afford. After his father's sudden passing from a heart attack back in their village in Ogun State, the family support dried up overnight. His mother managed a small provision store, sending what little she could, but it never stretched far. Tobi skipped breakfast most days, nursing a sachet of pure water instead. He walked everywhere to save transport fare, across the sprawling Akoka campus from his makeshift lodging past Moemi Hall, through the bustling New Hall area where richer students laughed over shawarma from vendors, past the iconic Senate building with its imposing columns, to the lecture theaters. In class, he sat near the front, pen moving furiously. Business management demanded sharp thinking, case studies on Nigerian conglomerates, group projects on strategic planning, exams that tested not just memory but application in a volatile economy. Tobi excelled quietly. While others complained about the heat in packed 500-seater halls or the endless queues at the faculty photocopy shop, he absorbed every word. His lecturers noticed the lean, serious young man who always submitted assignments early and asked thoughtful questions about ethical leadership in family businesses. Social life on campus buzzed around him like background noise. Departmental weeks brought colorful parades, music blasting from speakers near the sports complex, students in matching Ankara outfits dancing to Afrobeat. Tobi watched from the edges. He joined the Business Management Student Association briefly, but dues were a luxury. Instead, he volunteered for library shifts, earning small stipends and extended access to air-conditioned reading spaces. Evenings found him under the fluorescent lights of the main library, one of the few places with reliable power, poring over textbooks borrowed on extended loan because buying new ones was impossible. Hunger became a constant companion. Some afternoons, he chewed on sugarcane sticks bought for 50 naira from hawkers near the lagoon front, the sweet juice tricking his stomach into temporary relief. He avoided the more expensive spots like the food court near If Bobolola Hall, where students ordered plates of jollof rice and chicken. Once, a classmate offered him food during a group meeting. Pride made him refuse at first, but the growl in his belly won. "Brother, eat now," the guy insisted. "We all dey hustle." That small kindness stayed with Tobi, reminding him not everyone judged by appearances. Back in the shared room, there were times he cried silently into his pillow while roommates snored, but pain sharpened his resolve. If poverty defined him now, he would rewrite the story through results. He doubled his study hours. Mornings became rituals: wake, pray, walk to campus reciting formulas and theories. Afternoons meant group discussions where he contributed the most insightful points, earning quiet respect. Evenings, library till closing, then the long trek home under street lights, dodging Okodas speeding by. Campus challenges tested him further. Frequent ASUU strikes disrupted schedules, but when classes resumed, Tobi was ready. Power outages in hostels meant many students studied by torchlight. Tobi used his phone flashlight until the battery died, then continued by moonlight near the lagoon. He faced temptations, friends who skipped classes for side hustles, but he stayed the course. This degree is my ticket out, he told himself. By final year, the campus knew him differently. Whispers followed, that quiet guy from business admin, always reading. He led revision groups for free, helping struggling juniors. His project on sustainable business models in Nigeria's informal sector earned praise from external examiners. When results posted, the department board showed his name at the top: first-class honors, overall best graduating student in the faculty. Convocation day arrived under a clear Lagos sky. Tobi stood on the stage in his gown, family watching proudly, his mother in fresh wrapper, tears streaming. The vice-chancellor announced the awards, cheers erupted. Scholarships followed. The Tony Elumelu Foundation spotted his potential, funding a master's abroad. As he left UNILAG's gates for the last time, the lagoon breeze felt like a promise kept. The struggles had forged something unbreakable in him, resilience that no rejection could touch. He had turned silence into brilliance, hardship into honor. Tobi stepped off the flight from London into the humid embrace of Murtala Muhammad International Airport, the familiar Lagos chaos greeting him like an old friend. 3 years had passed since he left UNILAG with that Tony Elumelu scholarship burning a hole in his pocket. The Masters in International Business at a top UK university had been rigorous: late nights in Manchester libraries, group projects with classmates from every continent, internships at multinational firms that paid stipends he once thought impossible. Now, degree in hand, he returned not as the hungry boy who walked campus paths, but as a man with options. He landed a senior strategy role at one of Nigeria's leading conglomerates, headquartered in Victoria Island. The salary came in dollars, thousands monthly after taxes and allowances. For the first time, rent wasn't a prayer. He moved into a quiet 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki Phase 1, the kind with steady power, a small balcony overlooking the Atlantic, and security that actually worked. He bought his mother a proper house in their Ogun village, furnished it, and hired help so she no longer bent over the provision store counter from dawn till dusk. He drove a clean Toyota, not flashy, but reliable, and started a small investment portfolio that grew quietly. Success felt strange at first. Friends from UNILAG days reached out again, invitations to weddings and parties flooded his phone. He attended some, laughed at old jokes, but kept a gentle distance. The hunger scars ran deep. He never forgot how quickly people vanished when the pocket ran dry. Then Chinelo reappeared. It started with a message on WhatsApp one Saturday afternoon: Tobi. Long time. Had your back and doing well. We should catch up. He stared at the screen, the old wound twitching. Part of him wanted to ignore it. Another part, perhaps pride, perhaps curiosity, replied. They met at a rooftop lounge in Ikoyi, soft jazz playing, city lights glittering below. Chinelo looked polished, designer bag, sleek braids, the same confident smile. She spoke easily about her marketing job, travels to Dubai, the pressures of Lagos life. Tobi listened, nodding, careful not to reveal too much. You've changed, she said, touching his arm lightly. In a good way. They began seeing each other again. Dates at expensive restaurants in Banana Island, weekend drives to Takwa Bay, nights at live music spots in Victoria Island. Chinelo was charming, attentive, always ready with a laugh or a thoughtful question. Tobi let himself enjoy it. Maybe the past could be rewritten. Maybe rejection had only been timing. But small things nagged. She never asked about his struggles after his father died. Never mentioned the day by the lagoon when she turned him away. Instead, conversations drifted toward his new car, his apartment, the foreign trips his job required. She suggested places that cost far more than he would have chosen alone. Gifts appeared, expensive cologne, a watch he hadn't asked for, always followed by casual mentions of her own needs, my rent is due soon, or I'm thinking of changing my phone, but savings are tight. Tobi's secretary, Temi, noticed first. Temi had joined the company 6 months after Tobi. Sharp, quiet, efficient, she handled his schedule with precision and never missed a detail. She was from Ibadan, had graduated from UI with a second-class upper in accounting, and carried herself with the calm of someone who had fought her own quiet battles. Tobi trusted her immediately. She called him sir in the office but slipped into Yoruba proverbs when they were alone, lightning heavy days. One Tuesday morning, Temi knocked and entered with files. Sir, I printed the weekend expense report you asked for. She paused, eyes steady. And I saw something. I wasn't prying, but it came across my desk. She placed a printed bank alert on the table, Chinelo's name, a transfer Tobi had made the previous week for emergency medical bill. Below it, another alert, the same amount deposited into Chinelo's account, then immediately moved to another number Temi had traced quietly. She told me it was for her cousin's surgery, Tobi said, voice low. Temi nodded. I checked the hospital she mentioned. No record of any patient by that name in the last 6 months. She slid another page forward, a screenshot from Chinelo's Instagram story archive, timestamped the same day, her at a spa in Lekki, caption, self-care Sunday woman getting massage medium dark skin tone sparkles. Tobi stared at the images. The pieces clicked into place, the sudden reappearance, the escalating request, the way her affection seemed to rise with his spending. I'm sorry, sir, Temi said softly. I didn't want to overstep. But you deserve to know. He thanked her, voice tight. That evening he confronted Chinelo at her apartment in Suralere. She denied at first, then cried, then accused him of being paranoid. You think everyone wants your money? After everything we've been through. After everything. Tobi echoed. You didn't want me when I had nothing. Now that I have something, suddenly we're meant to be. She went quiet. No apology came. Only silence. He left, drove back across the third mainland bridge with the city lights blurring past. The pain wasn't as sharp as before, it was different, colder, more final. He ended things cleanly by text the next morning. Blocked her number. Deleted the chats. Temi never said, I told you so. Instead, she kept his calendar airtight, made sure coffee appeared on his desk exactly how he liked it, and once, when he stayed late working through a merger proposal, she brought him hot pepper soup from a nearby booker. You can't think on empty stomach, sir, she said simply. Over the following months, something shifted. Temi stopped being just the secretary who knew his schedule. She became the person he looked forward to seeing each morning. Conversations lengthened about family, faith, dreams beyond balance sheets. She laughed at his dry jokes, challenged his stubborn opinions on policy, shared stories of her own childhood in Ibadan when her father lost his job and they survived on her mother's petty trading. One rainy evening, after a long board meeting, Tobi drove her home because her danfo broke down. They sat in traffic near Ojulegba, rain drumming on the roof. "Why did you help me?" he asked quietly. "You didn't have to dig into those transfers." Temi looked out at the wet street. "Some people deserve protection. You were one of them." He didn't press further then. But the question stayed with him, growing roots. Months after ending things with Chinelo, Tobi found himself noticing Temi in new ways. She no longer felt like just the efficient secretary who kept his world running smoothly. She was the one who remembered his mother's birthday and suggested sending a surprise cake to Ogun State. She was the one who stayed late during crunch periods, not because she had to, but because she cared about the outcome. And she was the one who never once asked for anything, never hinted at money, never angled for favors. Their conversations grew deeper. Over lunch breaks in the office canteen, they talked about fate, about how Lagos could chew you up if you let it, about the small victories that mattered more than headlines. Tobi learned Temi had lost her own father young, just like him. She spoke of it quietly, a construction accident in Ibadan, sudden and final. Her mother raised 5 children alone, selling akra at dawn to keep them in school. Temi had worked night shifts at a call center while studying at UI, determined to break the cycle. One evening, after a particularly grueling audit season, Tobi invited her to dinner, not as boss and employee, but simply as two people who had walked similar roads. They went to a quiet seafood spot in Victoria Island, waves lapping nearby, they ate thick with grilled fish and pepper soup steam. Conversation flowed easily until Tobi asked the question that had lingered since the Chinelo incident. "Temi," he said, setting down his spoon, "why did you go the extra mile? Tracing those transfers, warning me you could have looked the other way." She met his eyes steadily, but this time her steady gaze faltered for a split second. "Because I've been where Chinelo tried to take you. And I refuse to let it happen to someone else, especially not to you." Tobi frowned. "What do you mean?" Temi exhaled slowly, as if releasing a breath she'd held for years. She reached into her bag, not for an old envelope, but for her phone. She opened her gallery and slid it across the table. The photo showed a younger Temi, maybe 22, standing beside a sharply dressed man in his late 30s at what looked like a corporate event. The man's arm was around her waist, possessive. Tobi's stomach dropped. He recognized the face instantly. It was Chinelo's older brother, Emeka, the same Emeka who had once been a rising star at a rival firm before a quiet scandal forced him out. "That was me, 3 years before I joined this company," Temi said softly. "Emeka promised me the world. Fancy trips to Dubai, a flat in Lekki, a future. I was fresh out of UI, drowning in student loans, helping my mother with my siblings' school fees. I believed him. Until I discovered he was using company funds, my signatures on some documents, to cover his gambling debts. When I confronted him, he turned it around. Said I was the one who forged things, that I'd seduced him for money. He ruined my reputation in that circle. I lost the job, lost friends, almost lost hope. I had to start over, night classes, odd jobs, anything. That's why I took this secretary role. Low profile. Safe." Tobi stared at the photo, then at her. "You knew Chinelo was his sister when you started here?" Temi nodded. "I recognized the surname the first week. I almost quit. But then I saw you, working late, refusing shortcuts, treating people with respect even when no one was watching. You weren't like him. And when Chinelo reappeared, the same patterns, the same charm masking grid. I couldn't watch it destroy you. Not after what I survived." The silence stretched. Tobi felt the ground shift beneath him. All this time, her quiet diligence, her extra efforts, her refusal to ever ask for anything, it hadn't been simple kindness or unspoken admiration. It had been survivor-born vigilance. She hadn't just protected him from Chinelo, she'd protected the version of herself she'd almost lost. "Why tell me now?" he asked, voice rough. "Because I'm falling in love with you, Tobi. And love built on half-truths isn't love. I needed you to know I didn't come into this blind or innocent. I came in scarred. But I stayed, and I chose you, because you made me believe trust could be rebuilt." Tobi reached across the table and took her hand, not in forgiveness yet, but in acknowledgement. The ache of his own past losses met hers in that grip. Their relationship unfolded slowly, deliberately. No rush. No pressure. Dates became walks along the Lekki Conservation Center boardwalk, prayers together on Sunday mornings at a small church in Suralere, quiet evenings cooking jollof in his apartment while Afrobeat played low. Healing happened in the small things, her teaching him how to pray through anger, him helping her apply for a professional certification she'd once abandoned out of shame. Tobi proposed on a rainy afternoon in his office after everyone had left, down on one knee beside her desk, ring simple but meaningful, bought with savings he'd set aside from the first dollar salary. She said yes through tears and laughter. The wedding took place in a modest garden venue in Ikeja, under strings of fairy lights and canopies of white fabric swaying in the breeze. As they stood at the altar, hands joined, the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Tobi lifted Temi's veil, ready to kiss her for the first time as his wife. Family from Ogun and Ibadan filled the seats, his mother beaming in coral lace, Temi's siblings cheering loudest. Colleagues came too, including the CEO who toasted to "the best strategist we ever hired," and the woman who quietly saved him from himself. She leaned in close, lips brushing his ear, voice barely above a whisper. "I was afraid you'd see my past and run. But you stayed. You saw me, the real me, and chose me anyway." Tobi pulled her into the kiss, deeper this time, the crowd erupting in cheers and ululations. Later, during the reception, as they danced under the stars to a slow high life tune, Tobi held her close. "You didn't just watch over me," he murmured. "You fought for us both." Temi smiled against his chest. "I fought for the chance at something real. And God gave us the timing." The night ended with laughter, music, and the soft clink of bottles. But for Tobi, the real gift wasn't the applause or the dollars or the comeback. It was the woman in his arms, the one who had turned her deepest wound into quiet strength, who had loved him not from obligation or design, but from hard-won hope. In her scars, he found his healing; in her truth, they are forever. Life teaches us that true value isn't measured in bank alerts or social status, but in the quiet promises kept when no one is watching. Hardship may strip everything away, yet it often reveals who truly stands beside you. Tobi's journey reminds us, resilience carves the path, but integrity and genuine love light the way home. Hold on to those who see your worth in the dark; you'll never walk alone again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and tell us what you learned in the comments below.